What if I told you about a guy who rushed for almost 10,000 yards, scored 55 touchdowns, made 3 Pro Bowls, and set an NFL record for the most yards from scrimmage in a single season? Just disappeared one day. That's what happened to Chris Johnson. One season he was one of the most electrifying players in football, and the next, he was gone. Just like that. How did a player once known as CJ2K, a man who ran for over 2,000 yards in a single season, suddenly become obsolete? Where did he go? And where is he now? To understand the story of Chris Johnson, we first have to go back to the beginning where this whole thing started. Chris Johnson was born on September 23rd, 1985. He grew up in Orlando, Florida, where he developed his passion for football at an early age. Unlike many future NFL stars who were recognized as elite prospects in high school, Johnson wasn't a highly touted recruit. He played football at Olympia High School, where he showcased his skills as a running back. But despite his clear athleticism, he was only considered a 2-star recruit by scouting services like Rivals.com. One of the main reasons for the lack of attention from top college programs was a leg fracture he suffered during his senior year. In the world of high school recruiting, missing significant playing time can severely impact the player's chances of getting offers from major colleges. Johnson's injury caused many Division I schools to overlook him, and the ones that did show interest wanted to move him to defense. Given his blazing speed, several programs saw him more as a potential defensive back than a running back. But Johnson had no interest in playing defense. He was determined to prove that he could be an elite running back, and he wasn't willing to settle for anything less. As a result, he passed on offers from schools that wanted him on defense and instead committed to East Carolina University, one of the few programs that offered him the chance to play his preferred position. Before Johnson became one of the fastest running backs in NFL history, he was already making a name for himself on the track. His speed was on full display at Olympia High School in Orlando, Florida, where he was not only an exceptional football player, but also a standout track athlete. In 2004, during his senior year, Johnson competed in the Florida 4A state championship in the 100-meter dash. He finished second with a time of 10.38 seconds, losing only to Walter Dix, who would later go on to win a bronze medal in the Olympics. That alone showed the level of competition Johnson faced and proved that his speed was truly world-class. Beyond the 100 meters, he was also an elite 200-meter runner. His personal best in that event was 20.28 seconds, one of the fastest times in the country at the time. These performances made it clear that Johnson wasn't just fast for a football player. He was fast, period. But Johnson didn't just compete as an individual sprinter. He was also a key part of his school's 4x100 meter relay team, which won both the Golden South and Golden West national championships. His ability to accelerate quickly and maintain top speed made him a crucial anchor leg runner. Despite his success in track, Johnson always knew that football was his true passion. While his speed on the track was impressive, it was even more devastating when he had a football in his hands. His ability to change directions, read defenses, and explode past defenders made him a nightmare for opponents. Although some schools recruited him with the idea of making him a defensive back, Johnson was determined to prove himself as a running back, and his speed would become one of his greatest weapons on the field. When Johnson arrived at East Carolina University, he wasted no time making an impact. Despite being a true freshman, he played in all 11 games and quickly established himself as one of the team's most dynamic playmakers. He started 7 games that season and led the team in multiple statistical categories, finishing with 561 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. But what made him truly stand out was his ability as a kick returner. He racked up 765 yards on kick returns, giving him a total of 1,562 all-purpose yards. That was the highest total on the team and ranked him 24th nationally in all-purpose yardage. One of the highlights of his freshman year came in the game against Tulane, where he rushed for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns on 31 carries. That performance showed glimpses of a player he would eventually become. Johnson's versatility was also evident in the passing game. He caught 32 passes for 236 yards and 2 touchdowns, ranking second on the team in reception. His ability to contribute as a runner, receiver, and returner made him an invaluable weapon for East Carolina's offense. By the end of the season, he had set multiple school records for a freshman and earned a spot on the Conference USA All-Freshman team. It was clear that ECU had found something special in Johnson, and his role on the team would only only continued to grow. In his second year, Johnson became the full-time starting running back and continued to showcase his ability as a dual-threat player. He rushed for 684 yards and 6 touchdowns while also contributing to 35 receptions for 356 yards and 2 more scores. His performance as a receiver out of the backfield made him a nightmare for opposing defenses. In a game against Rice, he put up 129 receiving yards, including an 81-yard touchdown reception. That kind of explosiveness was rare for a running back and showed that he was much more than just a speedster. He was a complete playmaker. Johnson continued to be a force on special teams as well, racking up 459 yards on kickoff returns. His ability to make plays in so many different ways made him one of the most valuable players on the team. One of the best games of his sophomore season came against Marshall, where he rushed for 106 yards and a career-high 3 touchdowns. That performance solidified his status as one of the top running backs in the conference. While his overall rushing numbers weren't eye-popping, his impact on the game was undeniable. He had the speed to break plays, the vision to find running lanes, and the hands to contribute as a receiver. His development as a complete offensive weapon was well underway. Heading into his junior year, Johnson was expected to take another big step. However, an off-season neck surgery forced him to miss spring practice, and his production took a slight dip as a result. Even though he played in 12 games, he only started 5, and his rushing numbers dropped to 314 yards and 4 touchdowns. Despite the setback, he still found ways to contribute, finishing the season with 972 all-purpose yards. His biggest impact came on special teams, where he earned first-team All-Conference USA honors as a return specialist. One of the most memorable plays of his junior season came against Southern Miss when he returned a kickoff 96 yards for a touchdown. That play was so electric that it landed on ESPN's Top Plays segment. Johnson also continued to add to his reputation as a receiving threat. He broke the school's record for career receiving yards by a running back, finishing the season with 768 career receiving yards. Although it wasn't the breakout year many expected, Johnson still showed flashes of his incredible potential. He had the kind of speed and versatility that literally couldn't be taught, and all he needed was the right opportunity to put everything together. Johnson entered his senior year with something to prove. He had dealt with injuries and inconsistent playing time in his junior season, but he was determined to show that he was one of the best running backs in the country, and he did just that. Johnson exploded for 1,423 rushing yards and 17 touchdowns, averaging an incredible 6 yards per carry. But his dominance didn't stop there. He also caught 37 passes for 528 yards and 6 more touchdowns. On special teams, he continued to be a game changer, returning 36 kickoffs for 1,009 yards and a touchdown. All of those numbers added up to a school record of 2,960 all-purpose yards. To put that in perspective, very few players in college football history have ever put up those kind of numbers in a single season. One of the most memorable moments of his senior year came in the Hawaii Bowl against Boise State. Johnson put on an absolute show, rushing for 223 yards and a touchdown, catching 3 passes for 32 yards and another score, and adding 153 yards on kick returns. In total, he finished the game with 408 all-purpose yards, an NCAA FBS Bowl record. By the end of the season, Johnson made himself impossible to ignore. He had gone from an overlooked 2-star recruit to one of the most electrifying players in the country. Before Chris Johnson entered the NFL, most scouts projected him as a 2nd-round or 3rd-round pick. He was known for his speed and versatility at East Carolina University, but many doubted whether he could handle the physicality of the NFL. Playing in the Conference USA, he hadn't faced the same level of competition as players from powerhouse programs like Alabama or Ohio State. Some teams worried that his size, hovering just above 200 pounds, wouldn't hold up against bigger, stronger defenders in the NFL. Everything changed when Johnson stepped on the field at the 2008 NFL Scouting Combine. His 40-yard dash time of 4.24 seconds was the fastest ever recorded electronically at the time, breaking the winning record that had stood for nearly a decade. Scouts and analysts were stunned. His time wasn't just fast, it was game-changing. Unlike many speedsters who struggle to translate their track speed onto the football field, Johnson had already shown in college that he could use his speed to dominate games. What made his performance even more impressive was that he wasn't a small lightweight sprinter. He weighed over 200 pounds, making him the only player of that size to ever run 4.2 at the combine. Within seconds, his draft stocks skyrocketed. Teams that have viewed him as a mid-round pick now saw him as a potential first-rounder. The Tennessee Titans, needing an explosive playmaker in their backfield, took him with the 24th overall pick in the first round of the 2008 NFL draft. The league was about to see firsthand what speed like his could do at the professional level. Johnson made an immediate impact in his first season with the Titans. He didn't need time to adjust. He was a difference maker. From the moment he stepped onto the field, splitting carries with Lindell White, Johnson finished his rookie season with 1,228 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns, averaging an impressive 4.9 yards per carry. His versatility as both a runner and a receiver made him a nightmare for defenses. He caught 43 passes for 260 yards, showing he was just as dangerous in the passing game. Johnson's ability to turn small gains into big plays helped the Titans finish the season with an NFL best 13-3 record. His electrifying performances earned him a Pro Bowl selection, a rare accomplishment for a rookie. Despite his incredible season, he finished second in the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year voting to Matt Ryan. But it was clear that Johnson was just getting started. Chris Johnson's 2009 season wasn't just great, it was legendary. He finished the year with 2,006 rushing yards, becoming only the 6th player in NFL history at the time to break the 2,000-yard mark. But what set him apart from others was his ability to contribute as a receiver. He added 503 rushing yards, bringing his total yards from scrimmage to 2,509. It's an NFL record that still stands today. Week after week, Johnson made highlight reel plays. His breakaway speed turned simple running plays into 80-yard touchdowns. He was nearly unstoppable in the open field, leaving defenders grasping at air. One of his best performances came in Week 8 against the Jacksonville Jaguars when he ran for 228 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just 2 weeks later, he shredded the Buffalo Bills for 132 rushing yards and 100 receiving yards, proving he was just as dangerous in the passing game. Johnson ended the season with 11 straight 100-yard rushing games, another rare feat. His dominance earned him the NFL Offensive Player of the Year award. He was also named to his 2nd consecutive Pro Bowl and first-team All-Pro. After the season, he was given the nickname CJ2K to honor his historic 2,000-yard achievement. Following his record-setting season, Johnson held out during the offseason in hopes of securing a contract extension, but he ultimately returned in time for Week 1. Despite facing stacked defensive fronts designed to stop him, Johnson still had an incredible season. He rushed for 1,364 yards and 11 touchdowns, averaging 4.3 yards per carry. His consistency earned him his 3rd consecutive Pro Bowl. Although he didn't match his 2009 production, Johnson proved that his elite speed and vision weren't just a one-year wonder. He remained one of the most dangerous backs in the league. By 2011, Johnson has solidified himself as one of the top running backs in the league, and the Titans rewarded him with a 4-year, $53.5 million contract extension, making him the highest paid running back in the NFL at the time. But after getting his big payday, Johnson's production began to decline. In 2011, he struggled to find the same explosiveness that had made him unstoppable in the previous season. He finished with 1,047 rushing yards, his lowest total since entering the league. In 2012, he bounced back slightly, rushing for 1,243 yards and 6 touchdowns. But it was clear that the wear and tear of the NFL was beginning to affect him. By 2013, his production had dipped again. He finished with 1,077 rushing yards, but his efficiency dropped and his impact wasn't the same. The Titans decided to part ways with Johnson, releasing him in April of 2014. After 6 years in Tennessee, Johnson had totaled 7,965 rushing yards, 50 touchdowns, and countless highlight moments. But his career was about to take an unexpected turn. In April of 2014, Johnson signed a 3-year, $9 million deal with the New York Jets. Many hoped he could regain some of his old form, but his time in New York was largely forgettable. He finished the season with just 663 rushing yards and 1 touchdown, the lowest totals of his career. With the Jets struggling offensively, Johnson never found a consistent role. After just 1 season, the Jets released him in February of 2015, making him a free agent once again. In March of 2015, Johnson's life nearly came to a tragic end. While sitting in a car at a red light in Orlando, Florida, he was shot in the shoulder during a drive-by shooting. His friend, who was also in the car, was killed. Johnson survived, but the bullet caused nerve damage to his right hand, raising concerns about whether he would ever play football again. In 2016, authorities accused Johnson of funding retaliation against those responsible for the shooting. However, he denied all involvement and was never formally charged. The incident, along with the injuries and declining production, marked the beginning of the end of his career. In 2015, Johnson signed a 1-year contract with the Arizona Cardinals. Early in the season, he surprised many by turning back the clock. He rushed for 814 yards in 11 games, looking like the dynamic player he had once been. But just as he was finding his rhythm, disaster struck, and in week 12, he suffered a fractured tibia, forcing him to miss the rest of the season. The Cardinals re-signed Johnson in 2016, but injuries continued to pile up. He was placed on injured reserve with a groin injury after just 4 games. He returned in 2017, but Arizona released him early in the season. Johnson was later re-signed, only to be cut again. By the end of 2017, it was clear that his time in the NFL was over. After a decade of making defenders miss and leaving defensive coordinators frustrated, Johnson decided it was time to hang up the cleats. On November 5, 2018, he officially announced his retirement from professional football. While injuries had slowed him down in the final years of his career, his impact on the game remained undeniable. Wanting to finish his career with the team that had given him his first NFL opportunity, Johnson signed a 1-day contract with the Tennessee Titans on April 24, 2019. This symbolic move allowed him to retire as a Titan, the franchise where he had built his legacy and earned his nickname CJ2K. For both Johnson and Titans fans, it was a fitting end to an incredible career. Though his NFL days were behind him, Johnson didn't stop striving for personal growth. In 2020, he returned to East Carolina University, the school where he had first gained national attention as a football star. Despite his success in the NFL, he recognized the importance of education and finished his communications degree. That's a move that not only demonstrated his dedication, but also set an example for younger athletes about life beyond football. His contributions to the game continued to be recognized. On June 25, 2023, Johnson was inducted into the Senior Bowl Hall of Fame, an honor given to standout players who had first showcased their talents in the annual College All-Star Game. His inclusion in this group further cemented his place in football history. While he wasn't playing football anymore, Johnson remained involved in the sport, occasionally making media appearances and offering insight into the game. He also focused on business ventures and personal projects, using his fame and resources to explore opportunities outside of football. Johnson will always be remembered for one thing above all else: speed. His ability to hit top speed almost instantly and outrun defenders made him one of the most exciting players to ever step onto an NFL field. He wasn't just fast in a straight line, he was football fast, with the acceleration, vision, and agility to turn any play into a touchdown. One of his greatest achievements was setting the NFL single-season scrimmage yards record, with 2,509 yards in 2009. To this day, no player has surpassed that mark, showing just how dominant he was that season. His 4.24-second 40-yard dash at the Combine remains one of the most famous performances in Combine history. At the time, it was the fastest ever recorded electronically. Even after John Ross broke the record in 2017 with a 4.2, many still consider Johnson's run more impressive because he weighed over 200 pounds, making him the only player of that size to ever clock a time that fast. During his peak years, Johnson was one of the most feared offensive weapons in the league. He was selected to the Pro Bowl in each of his first 3 seasons, something very few running backs have accomplished. His 9,651 career rushing yards and 55 touchdowns put him in the conversation with some of the game's best, even though his career declined faster than some of his peers. One of the most underrated aspects of Johnson's career was his durability. Many speed-based players struggle with soft tissue injuries, but Johnson was remarkably tough in his early years. He missed just 1 game in his first 7 seasons, a rare feat for a running back who took as many hits as he did. Despite his incredible numbers and jaw-dropping performances, Johnson doesn't always get the recognition he deserves. While his 2009 season is widely acknowledged as historic, some believe he is one of the most underappreciated running backs in NFL history. His peak was as dominant as almost any player, but his decline after leaving Tennessee hurt his legacy in the eyes of some analysts and fans. Looking back, Johnson has admitted that he sometimes regrets not switching the corner early in his career. He believes that his speed and athleticism could have made him a shutdown defensive back, possibly leading to a longer NFL career. And while that's an interesting what-if scenario, there's no doubt he made the right choice in sticking with running back, where he created some of the most unforgettable moments in NFL history. Another issue Johnson has spoken about is how NFL teams undervalue running backs. He has criticized the league for the way it treats the position, arguing that running backs don't get paid what they deserve, despite being some of the most important players on the field. His own experience of going from record-setting superstar to free agent after just a few seasons highlighted the tough reality for running backs in today's game. Me personally, because running backs peak so early because of all the hits they take, they should be able to negotiate whatever contract they can get when they first come out of college. But that's my opinion. Chris Johnson's speed and explosiveness made him one of the most exciting players to watch in NFL history. At his best, there was no one like him. He could turn a routine handoff into an 80-yard touchdown in the blink of an eye, and his record-setting 2009 season remains one of the most dominant performances the league has ever seen. While his decline after 2015 hurt his chances of making the Pro Football Hall of Fame, his impact on the game is undeniable. He changed the way teams evaluated speed at the running back position and proved that a player with his unique skill set could dominate at the highest level, whether he gets a gold jacket or not in Canton, Ohio. One thing is certain: when fans think about the fastest players to ever play in the NFL, Chris Johnson's name will always be at the top of the list. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.